Few cars get a mad reception or rush when they arrive to the market. Fewer still get instant blockbuster status. No surprise that the car to get both of those is an SUV, and a Mahindra SUV no less. The XUV700 is the car in question, and ever since it debuted on the eve of India's 75th Independence Day, it has created quite a storm. And one reason, amongst many, was its entry pricing. Yes, that got a lot of attention. And so today we want to show you what that car is all about. Is it a bare bones, stripped down entry version that no one wants? Or is it something more? As the XUV700 goes, sure, this is the entry variant, but you know what? I can't still call it like a base variant because you still get a fair amount of kit. Now, of course, it is a lower trim, so you don't get, for example, a rear defogger or rear wiper, but you still get the full LED taillight cluster, a very signature part of the design, including the way the tailgate is shaped. So when you look at it, doesn't seem to look like there's something missing or less in any way. All right, sure, you don't get the chrome trim on the belt line, that's obvious, but you still get these smart door handles, as Mahindra is calling them. You know what, that's going to be a talking point of this car for sure. And why not? It's a very clever little design element. And the fact that these aren't deployable but still have the same functionality, very, very smart, I think. Okay, the ORVM, or the outside rearview mirror, gets the integrated indicator strip LED. That's nice, gives you a slight high-end feel. Now, no alloy wheels, obviously, because it is the entry variant, but you still get 17 inches. Smart again, because from the point of view of the stance and the overall look of the vehicle, nothing diminishes. Same goes for the really glossy and high-end feel you get from the front grille. Same pattern and same finish as on the higher variants, the new Mahindra logo. And sure, the headlamp cluster is different because it's not full LED, but you get halogens, and while you don't get daytime running lights, you've still got the same design element running in this double chrome strip, which kind of ends a little shorter because you've got the indicator that's been integrated down here. But again, when you look at the car from far, doesn't look like an obviously lowered or stripped down variant. Not at all. Looks nice and high-end, very, very aspirational. And that's the trick, to not just give the semblance of an upmarket offering, but by truly giving big car size, big car appeal, and big car design in a great value package. So I know I talked about all the differences and the exterior, but you know what? I have to come back to these door handles. I just think this is so smart, so clever. I told you these aren't electrically deploying because there's just a mechanical action. Ta-da, that's how you open it. But the thing that was kind of bugging me before I came and drove the car, how does it go back inside? Because it doesn't fold shut on its own, right? It doesn't have that capability. Watch. You pull the door handle to open the door, and there's a spring-loaded action. The minute I let it go, the same spring takes it right back inside. It's mechanical, but it looks just as cool and just as smart as the electric one would. I really think that's clever. It's a great way to maintain the integrity of the design and not sort of say, oh, well, you know what, it's an entry variant, let's just give regular door handles. That is really, really smart. And people will love that. As I said, a massive talking point, and one that will give every variant that high-end feel. More 700 and not at all 500, right? Before I show you the cabin, let me establish two quick things. The MX variant is available in 4 of the 5 colors on offer. This means the silver on your screens, the bright red, very dark blue and white. But not the bright electric blue. That is saved for the AX or Adrenox series.
It also gets both fuel type options, but while it is only manual at word go, an automatic petrol MX is likely a few days down the line. The petrol gets you the modern M Stallion Turbo GDI engine, same as higher trim option petrol variants, and that is great because on most competition cars, the turbo is saved for higher variants only, while the base gets an older naturally aspirated motor. On the diesel side, and that's the car with me by the way, there is a change. But it is a slightly differently tuned variant of the same new M-Hawk engine. But yes, it delivers 153 bhp, while the higher variants make 182 bhp.
So of course, it's not really the same layout, but it's very similar in terms of just the overall design, because you still get this sort of hooded one unit, one piece feel, and you still get a touch screen. So it's not like, the entry version doesn't even have the screen, as is the case in most other cars. Yes, the instrument cluster is a lot more basic looking because you have the two dials, but in the middle, you still get this screen, which is not just your small little dinky screen. It's the full color display, 7-inch, and it gives you trip information, and it also gives you the same graphics and the same toggle layout for all the functionality that you see in the superior larger system. So yes, it's not a virtual cluster, but you know what? You've still got all the functionality of that cluster, which I think is a smart move. Fewer buttons here, and frankly, this menu for the screen that I have almost hidden back here, it could have been maybe reintegrated up here. So that's something for Mahindra to think about. But you've still got the phone and music system controls right here. That again is not something you see usually on an entry version car. The screen itself, yes, it's smaller, but it's 8-inch, so it's not tiny. And look at the functionality. You've still got the same kind of graphics, the same kind of layout, and even the same kind of customizing. Like you can move these widgets around. To me, that's pretty cool. It's a good resolution, and it still gives you wired access to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, on the MX variant, when it comes to the cabin, the trim is exactly like the AX3 and AX5 for the materials, the dash, and all the colors that you see. So, okay, you don't get the leatherite and you don't get that leather finish dash, but that's only on the AX7. And the point I want to make though is that therefore, you don't get a sense of this being like a cheaper cabin because it's still got the same kind of plastic level that you see in the higher variants. That's again smart thinking. It is only a 5-seater though. You don't get a 7-seat layout on the MX.
And that's okay, because the people who will consider the MX are likely considering only 5-seater, compact or subcompact SUVs anyway. I do feel the design on those dials though could have been way sexier, and this is too much like the old Mahindra look, but the color screen in the middle sure helps make the instrument cluster look more contemporary. On the whole, this looks like a roomy cabin that's pretty well appointed, gives you some good features, and yes, retains the big car feel. And the great news is that the suspension and therefore ride and handling are right up there, like the higher variants too. Remember, today I am driving the diesel MX variant. And the good news is that I can really push it to its limits since I am in a controlled environment at the Mahindra SUV proving track.
Alright, so on paper, let's face it, it is lesser in terms of output, right? But you'll only feel that way if you actually start comparing to the higher spec variants. Because by itself, the car is actually fun to drive. You don't at any point find it underpowered. given the shape, size, segment and weight of this vehicle, I'm seeing absolutely no problem driving this. You get ample amount of torque and a good amount of punch too.
So that is a huge doubt crossed off my list. And just as well, because that means the MX diesel will still satisfy the XUV500 cult that has a certain expectation of muscle and grunt. Sound damping could be a bit better though between the engine bay and cabin. NVH levels on the AX series seem better.
And if you consider the petrol side of things on the MX, well, that's the true entry price variant, right? But that's where I think a lot of people have missed a beat, because you're getting the same petrol engine that you will get on higher variants, which means you get all of that power, all of that torque, and the latest technology, which is turbo GDI.
And as I said earlier, with an automatic option on the way, things will really seem very compelling on the MX after all. This is the first variant then, and not a base variant. And that is unusual to see these days. Most brands offer a stripped down basic car with an entry price and then never bother marketing or even making that option. So on the XUV700, I reckon that Mahindra is likely to have its hands full on the MX variant too. The cat is very firmly amongst the Korean, Japanese and other pigeons. Let the games begin.